Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to be here with all of you. So I thought I would give you a view of where Oracle sees technology going, because it opens people's eyes in terms of thinking of opportunities to create new companies, and also to talk a little bit about where we see our company working with smaller startup companies. So I'll start with, Oracle, when you look at the company, it's got two primary businesses, applications and technology. And most people, when you look at business applications, things like ERP, human capital management, supply chain, they think of them and say, what possibly can be new in them? So most applications, when people think about it, they think of, I go to a form, enter some data, it kicks off a workflow, the workflow does something. That's not our vision for where applications are going to be. Okay, our vision for applications is fundamentally different. From professional users, it moves so that everybody can use the system, self-service. From business process automation to not just doing business process automation, but also offering intelligence. And then from human beings having to do all the work with the applications, having artificial intelligence replace the need for human beings to have to do a lot of the work with these applications. And so let me start with what we're doing with artificial intelligence. People think of enterprise applications and they think they're very, very complex systems. But every application, when you look at any particular point in time, is making a very simple decision. If you think of a recruiting application, it's looking at, should I hire this candidate? Should I reject this candidate? Or should I defer this candidate? If you look at a supply chain system, should I make this product? Should I stop making this product? Should I order more product? And so what we believe is that you can use a general purpose artificial intelligence framework to observe the steps that any company is doing day to day in executing business processes, to learn from understanding the data and the actions people are taking, and have the AI engine then do a lot of the business process. And through that, you can be enormously efficient. Think about you, many of you are executives and managers at companies, and you approve things. And you look at 100 things, you identify one thing to approve, one thing to reject, and you approve 99 over 100 things. So you're wasting your time looking at a lot of little things to find the one that you would reject. Imagine if the software could do it for you. Imagine the software could, when you called a person in a contact center, could tell the contact center agent, this customer, you should really do this as the next step. Imagine if you send a marketing program to somebody, and the algorithm could say, the best way to reach this particular person is not an email, but sending them an SMS, because that's what they respond on. So across all these domains, marketing, selling, service, recruiting, promoting people, we're building a general purpose AI platform, and then training algorithms to optimize business process. Here's an example of a real customer. Joann Stores is a small store, retail company. What they do is they sell things for people who want to do home projects. And they wanted to become really efficient at converting browsers to shoppers and one-time shoppers to repeat shoppers. So they built, using our AI platform, a system that drives incredibly targeted conversion. Over 90% people who are browsers convert to shoppers. Over 97% of people who are shoppers convert to repeat shoppers. And for startups, there's tons of opportunity to build algorithms to replace traditional applications. Because if you can train your algorithm on the data, many applications, when you decompose them and look internally, are actually very simple at any point in time. And so algorithms can replace the complexity of decision-making to make things a lot more efficient. And the second thing we're doing is opening up companies so they can work in a network environment. And we see one of the most important things there is the use of blockchain. Okay, so if you're a logistics company and you want to deliver products and services globally, today you need all of the railroad systems, shipping systems, port systems, customs, and intermodal transit systems on your network. That makes it very complicated to actually do business across organizations. A blockchain allows you to do cross-organizational transactions extremely easily. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you get a regulatory requirement that you need to be able to track every drug that you ever distributed in every distribution system down to every pharmacy, so that if there's a problem, you should be able to do what's called track and trace and pull back. Very complicated to do. With a blockchain, it's extremely easy to do because a smart contract allows you to track it. If you're a small retailer, now if you're United Airlines or American Express or a large company like Starbucks, and you want to do a loyalty card, it's very easy to do because everybody's on your system and you could say, I give you loyalty points. But if you're a small company, it's very difficult to have a loyalty program. But with the blockchain, you can actually do it because all the other players need not be on your network in order to enable that. And so we're doing a lot of work to enable intercompany transactions and across-company and across-country transactions using blockchain as an underlying platform. And here's an example. In South America, Banco de Chile is the best-rated financial institution. What they want to do is to be able to do transactions, interbank transactions, and automate those transactions directly into their ERP accounting system with no human interaction, and they're going to use a blockchain to do that. So it allows them to be much more efficient in the way that they're opening up their banking system for transactions with other payment providers and other banks and settlement systems. So again, we believe that blockchain can take many industries which are highly centralized and open them up because it allows people to transact securely, and it guarantees the integrity of the data in the blockchain network. The third one is our vision for where things, people, and assets are going to be. So in our view, everything in the world will have sensors. Every device, every person, every asset. And if you have a way for them to connect to you, allow you to analyze things, integrate them with your enterprise systems, and then learn based on the patterns in the data, you can actually make people, organizations, and things run much more efficiently. Let's take a simple example. Today, if you look at the medical industry, there's enormous wastage in medicines, in medical equipment that is being staged in different tertiary care centers. Okay? Because medicines spoil, and today they really don't have a very efficient way to plan what medicines are required in what clinic. Now, as patients get smart devices that monitor them, these devices can say, I know this person's having this kind of an issue. We're going to send a notification to the hospital system, book an appointment for that person, and tell them this is the particular clinic you need to go to, and then order the equipment or the medical procedure that is needed for them. So rather than having this push supply chain, where you push equipment, medicine into pharmacies, into clinics, you can convert it to a pull-based supply chain, which is going to be very, very much more efficient. And so as people, things, and devices get instrumented and send data, you can build a lot of new applications that make it much more efficient in the way that you can monitor them. And so as an example, we have a program with Toyota Motors in Japan. So they run a ride-sharing service, which is the dominant ride-sharing service in Tokyo. They're connected to our cloud, and they send us IoT information, and we track and integrate that data with weather data, traffic data, where are there delays in transit, so that their ride-sharing is always very efficient and profitable, meaning they've always got cars as close as possible to where the demand signal is coming from. And that enables a completely new way and a new business model for them. Now, lastly, I said business applications are going to be used by everybody. And one of the interesting things is that computing has changed very little in the last 70 years, right, in terms of how people interact with things. In 1946, you entered things in a terminal interface. 1986, the graphical user interface was born. People have 5 senses. You can listen, you can speak, you can see things, but the human interface has remained as a keyboard and a form. Even on phones, people still do a lot of data entry on keyboard and forms. So we think that doesn't make much sense. And our vision for human interface is what we call an ambient human interface. Ambient human interface is you always have the device with you, and you can talk to it. If you're driving and you want to approve your expenses for your staff who came to this conference, you can say, approve all expense reports. You don't have to go to a screen. You don't have to type something. If you want to monitor how your business is doing, you can have the system monitor it for you and alert you. And it doesn't have to actually send you a screenshot of a report. It can say revenue grew this year. We're having a great quarter. And so for us, the human interface means you can talk to things, you can message with things, you can listen to things, and it's always with you. And it's not a screen, and it's not just a keyboard. Now, if you were in Madrid today, and you wanted to watch some of the world's best tennis players, you would be attending the Madrid Open. And they wanted people to be able to easily order tickets. So they certainly have an app, but most people are interacting with that system through a messaging platform, through SMS. And they've got over 100,000 visitors, and they put a bot in front of their application, and people are ordering tickets and merchandise and watching the show using that environment. So that's a very quick view of where we see applications going. I'll talk quickly about our technology. So technology, one of the big things that we've seen is that it's very difficult still for smaller companies and for people everywhere in the world to be able to access and use technology. In fact, if you look at personal computing, it allowed every human to have a computer to do the job they wanted to do, except for one thing. If your program needed the power of 3 or 4 computers, you still needed to have something called a data center. You still needed to hire someone called a network administrator. You still needed to buy a number of computers and then tie them all together manually, and then allocate storage and tie that all manually. And we think that doesn't make any sense. So our vision is the following: infrastructure as code. So if you were a developer at Oracle, this is how you build software. You write code. Most people write in Java and JavaScript at Oracle. You check into source control. We kick off a build. And we use a technology called Kubernetes and Docker to stage environments on our cloud and test. How quickly do our developers get environments? In less than 30 seconds. And how quickly can they stage builds? They're able to stage builds every hour of every day. And so we went from a time where we were shipping software once every couple of years to now being able to promote code every day if we wanted to. And that model of infrastructure as code, we believe, is the way of the future, because you don't want to buy machines and manage them. You want to use infrastructure just as though it's programmable as software. Mazda, for example, runs calculations once a day for 3 hours on our fleet. And when they do, they want 1,000 machines, and then they want to shut them down. And they're able to elastically scale that calculation and shut it down. The second thing we're doing is applying artificial intelligence and machine learning to software. Okay, so we believe that if you want to do something that allows everybody in the world to use a system, you can't have to have administrators manage systems. So we believe that software should manage software. Let me give you an example. Imagine you wanted to use a database to do your analysis. All you need to do is load your data, run your queries. If you want your queries to run in 6 seconds, you say, I'd like it to run in 6 seconds. If you want it to run in 3 hours because you don't want to spend as much money, you can say, take away capacity and let it take longer. But you don't have to install it. You don't have to configure it. You don't have to monitor it. You don't have to tune it. You don't have to patch it. You don't have to back it up. And our view is, just like cars will someday drive themselves, software should drive itself. And no human being should ever have to administer a software system. So that, to us, is the next thing that we think we can bring to the community, because if software could run itself and it was accessible over the internet, everybody in the world could be able to use it. And an example, the Center for European Nuclear Research, they have data scientists who want to do analysis. It just takes them 3 months to get a system to do analysis. They now load data in 15 seconds after the particle acceleration machine runs. They can subset data and load it in 15 seconds, and they're up and running the calculations the same day. Lastly, data flow. For analysis, one of the big things we see is, as the world grows, you're going to see lots more data coming in. And the most important thing is to be able to analyze the data as it comes in, rather than having a system that's up and running all the time. Because data comes in bursts, and when it does come in bursts, you want to be able to spin up capacity, run calculations, and shut things down. We call that data flow. And we believe the future of that is around what we call serverless compute, where human beings don't experience machines. They just say, run this calculation and do it as fast as based on this time, and the system does it for you. So why did I talk about some of this? To open people's eyes, because we believe that we're on the crux of a major transformation in enterprise computing. And these opportunities can open up opportunities for startups and entrepreneurs to build new products and capabilities to let people do it. Now, just to give you an example, Oracle used to primarily deal with large enterprises. A year ago, roughly 2 years ago, we started a program focused on startups. Today, we have 5,000 startups in 11 cities around the world working with us. We were frankly amazed at the uptake and the interest. And we've been surprised at how many companies want to work in this new way. We entered the cloud computing business in 2012. Today, 60 million people in 20,000 companies around the world process 72 billion transactions a day in 29 data centers that we have around the world. And through that, they're able to get access to technology and transform their organizations. For me, being from India and being here at this event, I hope that all of you, with your great ideas, far more than my ideas, can think about some of these new technological revolutions that are going to change the world in the next 5 to 8 years, and come up with new ways that you can use some of these ideas to change the world around us. Thank you very much for having me.